Today I'm going to be making a two-colored soap in my tall and skinny mode. I've been blending this soap for a while. It was actually going to be three colors, but I can't find a red, or I should say I don't have a red that is like a true red. So I decided that I'm just going to do this
I'm
black
using
and white. A fragrance oil called Fresh Cut Roses from candlemaking.com. I've had it for a while. I'm a little afraid of it because rose scents are notorious for speeding up. So needless to say, this will be going in batches. I will be adding it in a little at a time, and so that it doesn't get too hard on me, I guess you could say. I don't want it to season me. So let's get started. First we're going to add in our lye mixture. It does have a little bit of aloe juice in it today. I go back and forth on whether or not I want to use the aloe juice or not, but I still have some of it, so I kind of have to use it. Don't want to waste the money I spent on it. And spray some vinegar in there. I know people say it doesn't help, but it gives me peace of mind. So, alright. So, get going. Just trying to make sure this is emulsified. I am very excited today. My new bud cutter arrived. If you don't know what that is, it's a single, well, mine is a single wired soap cutter, and it's made by a guy named Bud Hefner, who sells them on Etsy. And I'm going to pour off some of this mixed batter into there. Not a lot, because I don't need a lot. I don't necessarily need very much of it. This is going to be for my white. Set that aside. Then I'm going to, there's a speck of soap in there. I'm going to split off half of this, give or take a little. So this is going to be my top layer. I'm trying to decide how I want to go about this. This is going to be my top layer, so I'm going to set that aside for a minute. And I'm going to reach around you and grab my mold and get that closer to me. Now I have altered my tall skinny mold. I made it myself, but it was a little too wide, so I've made it a little thinner by adding in like a partition, I guess you would call it. So I'm going to add in some of this black in here. And maybe that will be enough. We'll see. I hope you can see. I'm looking for a black. I want it to be really jet black. Like really black. And I know that this soap will give gray bubbles. There's no doubt in my mind that when this soap is used, it will produce gray bubbles. Because there is a lot of black colorant being used, but it's kind of what you got to do to get the black that I'm after. I may end up pulling out a little more oil and mixing up some more black if I can't, if I'm not satisfied with the next black that I do. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside for just a moment, and I'm going to get my white going here. And I really want it white, so, and the white is made with titanium dioxide. The black was made with black oxide. Now the white looks a little yellow, and that has to do with the shea and the sunflower oil. No, not sunflower oil. Olive oil. That's why it looks so yellow. But from my experience, most of the time that color will cure out to be a more white color. At least in my recipe. Alright. I feel like I'm moving at a snail's pace today. Been like that all day. Everything I do is like one step behind, I feel like. Not having the best of days. Not a bad day, not a bad day, just a different sort of day, I guess you'd say. Clean off as much as that white as I can, because I don't want to make my black any more gray than it already is. I actually probably should have colored the black and then separated it. I think that's what I should have done, and I think that's exactly what I'm about to do. I'm going to go ahead, I know this is going to look stupid, but I need them to be the same color. So I am going to add that back in and then separate it off again. And this is adding time to my soap that I don't really need, but I really need them to be the same color, because if not, you're going to tell it. So we'll just pretend like we never separated them. Pretend as though you didn't see that. It's not the smartest thing to do, but hey ho. I really want them to be, both bowls to have the same color. Even if it's a dark gray instead of a black, it really needs to be the same dark gray and not some variation of it. Because you will notice it since it's going to be in layers. So now that I have that mixed up, that's some raw color or raw soap in this other bowl that I'm going to wipe out. Now I'm going to pour off some of this color. It's going to be for the top of my soap. Just a tad more. Alright, we'll set that back there. Okay, now this is going to be our bottom layer, and this smells exactly like fresh roses to me. Alright. got the fragrance oil in, but this does smell just like a rose to me. Like, it smells just like what you would smell if you picked a rose and smelled it. In my opinion. Okay, I can feel it heating up a little bit under there. So I'm going to get the first layer in. And I hope you can see there. Okay. I'll set that to the side. Move that over just a bit. Grab our white. The rest of that will go on the remainder of our black. Get this really well incorporated, or as good as possible anyway. Staying very fluid in there, which is great. And I think that might be because I did not stick blend. But this is staying really fluid. So I actually I'm going to need it to set up a bit before I can pull off my next layer. So no need in rushing. Look how fluid. So this rose, despite being rose and despite smelling exactly like a rose, is not. Oh, I just used the wrong spoon in this. Oy vey. Wrong spatula, I should say. But in spite of everything, this is fluid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it in the pot. Twelve, 3, 9, and 6. Oops. Or somewhere thereabouts. Okay. And then the spatula goes down and around and through the center. Okay, so since we have time to mess around a little bit, maybe I'll do a mica line similar to the one I did for my last soap. This is still so fluid, guys. Everything is still so fluid that I am not going to be able to do any layers anytime soon. So I think I'm actually going to have to pause you just to let this set up because I don't really have that much to talk about. So I'm going to pause and I'm going to clean up a little bit and wait for this soap to set up a little bit, and okay, guys, I'll bring you back. It's been like a while. We're talking 20 some odd minutes, and this is still fluid. It's so fluid, in fact, that if I don't use the back of a spoon, that my In the Pot swirl is going to go down into the soap. So I'm just going to do my best to keep it from going in too much. If it does go in, that is not that big of a deal. Also, if you hear a ticking and a humming, that is my oven heating up in the background. So here we go. My In the Pot swirl got a little thicker than I had hoped, so it's not gonna quite work how I had planned. It got thicker than the rest of my soap, as a matter of fact, which is no good whatsoever. Not quite sure how that happened, but it is what it is, right? That's not good at all. It's not going to look anything like I had hoped, and this may not be the soap for my mother-in-law after all, because that did not work. Okay, so add on some more of the 24 karat gold mica. I'm going to scrape off as much as I can of this black. Just plop that over there and give this a stir. And as you can see, that's perfectly pourable. So it's was definitely the titanium dioxide that sped us up there. I'm just trying to lay this on the top without disturbing too much of that mica line. This mold is now a half inch skinnier than it was the last time I used it, which makes it about 2.5 inches now, where before it was around 3, give or take a little. I know you probably can't see the best right this second. This mold is so tall that it makes seeing kind of difficult. Seeing down in there kind of difficult, so. Just using a disposable dropper. To put some of the mica on the top of the soap. Alright. Looks like I may have actually mixed up a little much, but that's okay. So now I'm going to swirl the soap. Careful not to go too far down, because I don't want to penetrate down into that bottom layer too much. I'm trying to figure out how to figure eight the other way. Alright. So that's that. Let's clean up the edges a little bit. Okay, we're back. I've marked off a little area so that I can know where to put my roses. And let's scoop my glove up here. I might actually end up popping the glove off if it gets in my way too much. So now I'm going to add some alcohol to the top of this. And then I'm going to add some sugar pearls. And then a little bit more alcohol. And some glitter. Just a tad, because we have all that mica on there, but I still wanted a little bit of sparkle. So that bar right there is a little messed up because of the, I pushed that rose in too far, but hey ho, what are you gonna do? Anyway, that is, I'm gonna call this one Black Beauty. I don't know how it's gonna turn out, but we will see. Anyway, thank you for watching. Happy soaping. Bye bye.